I'm Eduardo Bogosian, founder and CEO of Maestri Investment Group, and today we're going to talk about Regal assets. Now, I didn't have as much time to prepare as I would like to, but as they say, you strike the iron while it's hot. So basically, Regal Assets is a multinational company uh, that started out with having gold and other precious metals as part of, in the US, retirement portfolios, right? So you would buy and hold these assets, hope that they appreciate in value, and then, when you retire, you would gradually, as you would with any other portfolio, gradually sell your positions, right? Now, before we even go anywhere, this is not any type of financial recommendation or advisory of any sort. The only way you're ever going to get any good investment advice is with a fiduciary investment advisor. Now, fiduciary just basically means that they're supposed to act in your best interest. The manager, your account manager at the bank, they're not at all fiduciary. They can sell you whatever junk they want or told to, even if it is at a cost to you, a very negative cost. Okay, so if someone's giving you any information, you gotta ask them, are you a fiduciary agent? I mean, they could always just lie, but I mean, fraud's everywhere. But the point is, that's something you want to look out for. Now, I'm gonna point out that I do have Jeremy Siegel's book over here, Stocks for the Long Run. So yes, that is a bias that I have because that is my trading philosophy. So it's good to have a philosophy, but I'm here to talk results, okay? I want to talk numbers because when it comes down to it, when you're talking about odds and you're talking about investment, what you want to do is have the odds may ever be in your favor, right? You don't want to make bad investment choices on things that are low, which have low odds of happening. I mean, you could obviously go into riskier assets, but you don't want that to be a big part of the portfolio, right? So let me just size down myself over here. Let's see how this looks. This is not the page I want to show you. Let's start with the page I do want to show you. Okay, so this is trading economics, right? You can access this, do whatever you want with it. Or your website, right? Let's see if I can just get it to fit on screen nicely. There is some clipping. Clipping is occurring, but we do not mind because we'll just set it to the left. Okay. So if you're used to seeing graphs, you know what you're seeing right here, right now. And this is going to be our bread and butter for today. Now, one thing is when you add, you can go over here and let's say we want to compare the oil, right? The Texas or the Brent crude oil prices, right? When we add them, they're going to show up here, and the thing is, they're going to be in a format that you're not going to expect. They're going to be like this. And when you look at this, you say, oh, look, this is like 1-to-1. But pay careful attention. Look on the right side. It says 2,200. On the left side, it says 4,800. These are two completely different scales. They're in the same chart, but they're different scales. So when you do come here, make sure you put them all to either the right or the left side, whichever you prefer. I prefer the right side just because that's what I'm used to dealing with. And you can use this by yourself. Now let's start with this ad here that appears to be from Regal Assets. They took everything down, the website's down. I mean, the CEOs, it looks like he fled to Dubai, where they were a multinational company at that point. So they had offices in Dubai, in Los Angeles, Toronto, and London, if I'm not mistaken. So they got pretty big, and let's take a look at what's supposed to be one of their ads, okay?
Will your investment portfolio weather the upcoming financial crisis? Some financial experts predict the next financial crisis will be bigger than 2008.
Okay, so that the next financial crisis will be bigger than 2008. Now, what does that mean? Okay, are we talking about fall in the absolute number value, or are we talking percentage-wise, or are we talking about the stock impact? Are we talking about a specific line? I mean, this is a very broad statement. We can be talking about unemployment numbers. There's a lot that we can be talking about. So this just starts out pretty vague, okay? And then they do this.
The world economy is sleepwalking into a future crisis, said Gordon Brown.
Okay, former UK Prime Minister, right, important person. The world economy is sleepwalking into a future crisis. Now, there is no date here. You can move around, see, no date. And there's no context provided, like, when did he say this? What was he talking about? He could have been talking about climate change, for all we know. This is, you can see this is a quote, but it starts with small letters, and with small letters, unless at least this they kept correct. But what was he talking about? Was this a pitch for some kind of law that he was trying to pass? So this is very, very broad.
Former UK Prime Minister. The world is less well-equipped to manage a major financial crisis today than it was a decade.
Okay, the world is less equipped to manage a major financial crisis today than it was a decade ago. Again, when did he say this? Then a decade ago? Was this in 2008? So let's take a look. IMF chief, the National Monetary Fund, Strauss-Kahn. Okay, so let's just do a quick Google search here, and let's look for files. Yeah, former Minister of the Economy, Financial Government of France. Okay, interesting. First things first, the IMF tends to lean towards austerity measures. It's one of the big pitches they had for Greece, and we know how poorly that turned out with Greece. And I mean, if we just look at other examples, we have Margaret Thatcher. She was Prime Minister of the UK for 2 terms. That would be 10 years, as they have 5-year terms, and she served fully all of them. And the UK was in an absolute mess. And because it turns out that a government, when it's run as a company, as it was referred to, so increasing taxes when companies are doing poorly, that is not a good idea. The purpose of the government's now seen much more as a social service to its society and its members, that includes its companies. So it should be looking out for them, not going after them. So it was then reversed with the idea that we should increase taxes when you're doing well, and then when things go wrong, then we cut these taxes, we lower interest rates. I mean, this has been very globally accepted as making much more sense. What is highly debated, though, is for how long, how much, and for how long. Now, recently, this is 2023, you can hear about a soft landing with the Fed in the U.S., right? So, COVID came around, so quantitative easing and other similar measures were taking place, and then they were like, okay, when do we cut that out, right? Because everyone has grown accustomed to easy money, loans being of low interest rates. How we got to pump that back up because we're just driving inflation, especially stagflation. So an inflation without economic growth. So inflation can be fine if your economic growth outpaces it, because that's just a natural. It's a natural result of economic growth is inflation. So what you want is controlling inflation that's below your economic growth, right? So It's pretty obvious. So what happens is stagflation is something that happens when you have no economic growth, but you have inflation. Now that's bad. That means you're losing purchasing power. You're also not getting paid more. So it becomes a cat and mouse game at that point, right? Now, as I was saying, is that the IMF prefers to have more austerity measures. Now, this is DSK. He's a French economist, member of the French Socialist Party, which is interesting, which is why I wanted to look him up. Now, where does it say him as? Here we go. According to, this is the IMF.org. I don't know. Can you see this? Let me lower this. Okay, this is the official IMF. Blah. See connection secure, verified by Jeanette. Does this show up? Okay, this, unfortunately, this tab doesn't, but this website is IMF.org, and it says here, November 2007 to May 2011. He's talking about, okay, right now he's talking about the crisis in 2008. Now, of course, that makes sense to say that they were less prepared. It was the Great Recession. I mean, it's like going back and saying, oh, the laws in place are very bad to prevent a collapse of the stock market. And then you get that, and it was from 1929, right before the Wall Street crash. That's why I got the other tab open. I mean, yeah, of course, duh. This is very, very misleading. Okay.
To go, said
Anyway,
ex-IMF chief Strauss-Kahn. A 2019 survey by the National Association for Business Economics revealed that 72% of the
2019. This is right before. This is before COVID. There was a lot of talk about a recession, but this recession would be a cyclical recession. So what happens? You have major and minor cycles. This is just something that's natural. It's not caused by the stock market. The stock market just feels those effects. I'll give you an example. I think it's every 5 or 8 years, the solar activity, the way it impacts the Earth leads to different climate conditions. Different climate conditions lead to different cycles of food production, both meat and plant-based, which is why one of the reasons why there was this tendency to bring animals indoors was to stabilize these cycles, right? But even to this day, we see these cycles taking effect. So it's just a natural cycle of business. You have, the initial product, and then it's launched, it goes up, it reaches its peak, then people start losing interest, and then it dies, right? So what you got to do is go back here, and when it's at its peak and it starts going down, you renew it. Oh, new cherry-flavored Coca-Cola, new Special Olympics Coca-Cola, new whatever. So you're always renewing, and this is part of its life cycle of just any product, any project. It's going to have a life cycle. It has an end date, and I'm sorry, but that's just a fact of nature. So this was a fairly fine prediction to make. Now, one thing I like to do is, unfortunately, I don't have my ruler with me, but I'd like you to look at this pen and visualize it. But I'm on your left side of the screen. This is now, okay, and this is sometime in the future. Notice as I move up and down, right, that the tip is moving. It's varying much more than closer to the stem, right? Even if it's the same angle. So imagine you make a prediction that today it rained. It's the rainy season, so tomorrow a meteorologist says, oh, you know what? It's going to rain. So this is fairly good prediction to make, right? This is enough for me to, for example, bring my umbrella with me. Buy one if I don't have one. So that is a cost. I have a cost that I'm going to buy it. I have a cost that I'm going to have to lug it around. And if it doesn't rain, then that was all for nothing, right? So let's just take this at the most basic level possible. Let's not talk about maybe it was sunny and I could have used the umbrella to protect from the sun. Let's not consider that. Okay, let's talk about predicting specific events in specific places. Now, if I ask the same meteorologist, is it going to rain the same day today, 10 years in the future? How certain is he going to be of that? How is air traffic going to contribute to that? How is global, climate change going to contribute to that? How's traffic going to contribute to that? What kind of laws are going to be passed? Is cloud seeding going to be allowed? That's 10 years. Okay, that's a lot of time. Pardon me. That's a lot of time. So the further you are predicting the future, the more uncertain, see how high it goes, how low it goes here, how uncertain that is, because there are more variables at play, which are also, there are also many more unknown variables at play. So let me get some water and watch this.
Economists predicted that a recession would occur in the U.S. by the end of 2021. The U.S. and world economies are facing several threats to their financial health. Pick your poison. Student loans outstanding have skyrocketed from $611 billion in 2008 to around $1.5 trillion today.
Okay.
Auto loans at nearly $1.25 trillion have exceeded the 2008 total, while credit card balances are just as high now as before the Great Recession. Global debt.
Okay, let me ask you something. What is the quality of that credit card debt? Is it good debt or is it bad debt? So the whole thing about 2008, which is what this video seems to be referring to, is that there was the subprime mortgage, right? Mortgages. So what happened is they were selling bad credit. That means people who are at high risk of defaulting or the loan, which means not paying. And they were selling that as, Dave, who's unemployed and can't keep a job, owes a lot of money, and is sometimes a part-time worker. He's just as good to pay as this guy who has plenty a high credit score, has a very steady job, has a good financial cushion, has not defaulted or been late in any of his payments, right? They bundled them all together, insured it, and then what happened was a cascade event that those people who couldn't afford, that were being put in the same group and insured, insurance companies were like, wait, we can't pay for that. That's too much money. We're going to go bankrupt. And then the bank said, well, if you don't pay for it, we're going to go bankrupt. And then Lehman Brothers fell, and then the whole too big to fail thing happened, right? So they're talking about all this global debt, right? But is this bad credit? Two, is this related to economic growth? Because the economy has grown quite a bit between 2008 and 2019, right? So that's a long time. So is it higher? Okay, but what is it being invested in? Are these larger products, larger infrastructure projects? Are these, what's going on? Where is this money going? That's the important part. If you told me that 50% of nations' bonds are owned internally, is that good or bad? That depends. In Japan, it's like 50%. It's an incredibly high percentage. In the US, I think it's around 15%. Those are really high numbers, but is that bad? Right? That's the question. So, yeah, global debt is all-time high, but is the economy at an all-time high? So, this is fear-mongering. Let's be honest, this is fear-mongering. That's my professional opinion. If you're talking about these things and you're not taking all these other things into consideration, you're not talking about the context they're in, you didn't even say that decade, that F phrase from the IMF chief when he was chief in 2007, or if that was now, leaving these things out, that's very misleading. And I mean, it might even be something criminal. I mean, this is just not a fair assessment at all. I mean, it's imagine saying I'm consuming more fuel this year than I did last year, right? I'm on pace to consume more fuel. Is this good or bad? Bad. Of course it's bad. It's cost. You gotta pay for gasoline. Yeah, but why? Okay, this is an important question. Why are you spending more on gasoline? Oh, it's because I've doubled the number of clients I have, so I'm driving 2 times as much. But you're also increasing your profit by at least 2 times as much, right? So if that increase in fuel consumption is something to be noteworthy about and not be lackadaisical about it. However, the why is perfectly explainable away. So just talking about this like, oh yeah, the debt's an all-time high. Well, what kind of debt is it? Where is it going? This is very misleading. This is horrible. This explains. This really alludes to the type of person that sales manager was at this company.
A result of central bankers flooding economies with cheap money to lift them out of a funk is now $247 trillion, up from $177 trillion
Once again,
in
the economy grew.
2008. That is close to 2.5 times the size of the global economy.
2.5 times the size of the global economy. What was it back then? See, you're omitting facts that you use to support. When it's good for you, you show that. But when what it was before, it doesn't. So that's cherry picking.
What asset class can protect your portfolio?
Now look at this. This is the main selling point that we have.
And even help you generate some solid gains in times of crisis.
What asset class can protect your portfolio?
Your portfolio, and even help you generate some solid gains in times of crises. It's very important to be in there. And I'll show you why. Generate some solid gains in times of crisis. There's only one asset class that performs consistently well in times of
persistently well in times of economic turmoil.
Precious metals. Gold bullion thrives in time.
Look at what they're showing you here. This is fantastic because look, is gold really useful in times of crisis? See for yourself. Stock market decline Black Monday, 38.9%. That's very steep. Iraq-Kuwait War, 27. Dot-com crash, 2001. Financial crisis of 2008. And you can see that they have plus 5%, plus 7.5%, plus 1%, plus 5%. That's, I mean, 5 and 7.5. They're decent, especially for something that should be a low risk asset. 1%'s pretty pathetic. I mean, you could have just gone to like inflation protected. Anyway, public instruments of debt that are insured against inflation, so they'll pay 2% plus inflation. That would beat this 1% upside the head, right? If you're going to talk about that, you're going to be beating upside your head, right? And this is a very important thing, and this is why I open up the yard. Okay, so this is the past 10 years, right? Blue line is US 500, right? So this is the S&P 500. Now let me ask you something. Remember what we talked about the odds, right? When we're looking at investment, right, we want to look at whatever data we have, and we want to know what gives us the best odds. Now, let's see if we can make this blue. They only have this shade of blue. Okay, it's a darker blue. And do they have a shade of green? Yes, which is the exact same shade of green as the other one. Okay. How do you want your money to perform? Okay, let me ask you that. If you're looking at a long time, so anything greater, so that's 10 years. Let's look at 5 years, right? That's still. Let's try that again. These are just rough. They don't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to illustrate a point. How do you want your money to grow? How did I lose the cap to my pen? Oh, wrong pen. Do you want your money to grow like this or like this? No, there's more movement there. Okay, there's more movement over here. You can see that it's. But if you're, this one is a special thing. They talk about long term, but I disagree. Do you want your money to go like this or like this? This obviously just compare the two. So like this is gold. This was the stock market. Gold stock market. That's just 5 years, okay? What do you want your money to do given those odds? You want the one that has the greater angle. You want it more. You want more money. That should be obvious to anyone, okay? You want more money. That's the point of investing, right? You want more money. You want to be protected from, if you're investing speculatively, you want a big growth of money. If you're investing for diversification, you want to have multiple sources of income. That's a different look, right? But no one goes in and says, I want to have less money in the future than I have today. That's called going broke. No one wants to go broke, right? And now here's the big part, okay? Regal assets, here they are. They got their big spiel. You see this? Now the reason why they show you this, let me see if we can go to 25 years. Okay, we're just going to zoom in. You see this? 2008. It's the only, it's not when, it's only during these moments. Let's try to zoom in here. Okay, this is, let's see, what years? They were saying 87 and 90, right? So we've got, they've been put in the oil prices, that's fine. But look at this, right? Gold peaks and then falls. This from 500 to 400, and whilst U.S. stocks went from 94 to 476. Is this 100 to 400? Okay, so they were pretty close, right? Pretty close? Yeah, pretty close. Okay. These were the only times, and each recession we get is becoming shorter and shorter, and you're saying, this is great. Cause panic, okay? You gotta be afraid, because you know what you do when you're afraid? You buy gold, because it's the only asset that it's the only asset that goes up during times of economic uncertainty. Because the rest of the time, you are getting crap. You're getting crap. You're getting crap returns. You're getting crap investment. And that's why they come up with all of this fear-mongering and getting all of this out of date and not explaining things and just using whatever data is useful to you when it's useful to you. This is fear-mongering because the only moment this is going to be useful for you might be during financial crisis, which is each time we're getting better and better at fighting it. So, wow, congratulations. You made 1%, not counting for inflation, return. In 2001, let's go to 2001. I have no problem with that, okay? So what you're saying is, yeah, no, gold is a great investment. I mean, look at how, can you please, okay, I am unable to move from inside, so you have to make it full screen it. 2000, oh, OMX, that's something different. Very good. And of course, gold goes away. I'm not the biggest fan of this interface. And again, look, it doesn't look that bad, because because they're not in the same. Look at it. They're not in the same. Man, this thing is really kicking me in the butt. So we've got here, .com crash. It was not doing anything, and then it outperformed. Okay, and that was it. That was the one moment it outperformed. Okay, let's keep gold. Let's go back to US 500. Again, same side. I don't want to look at different scales. The only times that it does anything is this. The rest of the time, you're getting a flat line. And then all that's telling me, right, if I'm looking at this and that's the information I'm giving, I'm thinking, okay, so I'll sell off part of my stock portfolio, buy gold, and then once it gets back to so this is 2015, and this is January 2013, right? So this really big, huge peak, back to peak levels. This was 6 years, okay? Great recession, biggest financial crisis in our generation, right? In 6 years, it was back. Gold just basically followed it. It overseeded it a bit by the point that it was back to pre-recession levels, at the peak of pre-recession levels. Gold was already back down. So that's all you're telling me, man. I'm looking at this and it's okay. Sure, you can have nice coins, right? So
times of crisis. See for yourself. Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
The numbers show that including
just
gold
misrepresent them to create a different narrative. Is that lying? It's misleading, that's for sure. Are these numbers outright lies? Probably not. Anyone can look this up, so that's probably not. It's in the omitting everything else that doesn't favor your narrative that you're hiding. That is misleading. You're not lying per se, you're just omitting facts. You're misleading investors, you're misleading clients, and you're definitely not acting in their best interest.
Existing retirement account could improve investment performance by either increasing returns
What
without
about the
increasing
rest of the
risk,
time?
or by reducing risk without adversely affecting returns. If it's good for celebrity and high net worth investors, why isn't it good for you? I believe.
Okay, this is like they handed this to me in a golden, no pun intended, but in a silver platter. Okay. Tony Robbins, from what I've heard from people who have personally met him, he sounds like just an amazing guy. He's a life coach. He's got books published. He goes around. He gives seminars. So let's take a look at him, right? So he is in the more action side, right? We've got Ray Dalio. Bridgewater Associates, okay, Bridgewater, huge investment fund, O'Leary Funds, McBride, okay, but you notice something that they're not putting in here, that they're not doing, that Regal Assets was doing? 5%, okay, look at this, 7.5% to 5% of their portfolio was in gold. Celebrities who are millionaires, multi-millionaires, when you start running out of places to put your money, you start putting it into gold and other assets like that. You can start earlier, of course, but look at that. It does not exceed 5 to 7.5% of anyone who is investing and is being prudent with their money. So if you have $100,000 saved, right, you shouldn't have more than 5,000 of that in gold if you're going to go into that road. Okay, if you're going to go down that lane, do not have more than that. I mean, talk to someone, right? This is not financial advice. This is just, I'm just being a reasonable person here. Just anyone who knows anything about this will tell you, yeah, you're not supposed to be putting all of that money, all of that portfolio into just one asset class. That's just basic portfolio diversification. And 5% is something that I would personally be comfortable with, right? And now this says gold, but see, that's again where they're misleading you. That's not necessarily gold in the form that Regal Assets would sell it to you. They would sell it to you either physically, so you'd have to store it yourself, or have it stored for you, which you pay a fee for, which is, you're losing money. Now, this says 5% gold, but is that assets that are backed by gold? For example, an ETF that's gold? Is this gold-related companies, such as mining activity extractions focused on gold? They don't tell you that here. So even this 5%, 7.5% is high, because looking at it, they could very well, because they've misled you. This is a minute and 53, 2 minutes in of a 2 minute and 40 minute, 2 minute and 40 second video ad that they misled you and hidden facts. This 5% does not mean it's 5% in gold. So once again, let's get a $100,000 portfolio. 5% in gold, not necessarily. It could be 2,000 in actual gold bullions, or actually, that wouldn't even buy a bullion at the current prices of around, I think it's $1,900. That's the troy ounce. You get an ounce of gold for that amount of money. So for a $100,000 portfolio, sticking to this 7.5% range, and considering what would really realistically be actual gold physical assets, you're talking about 1 ounce of gold. 1 ounce, 1 troy ounce to be specific, because they can't just use normal numbers like the rest of us, right? So that's not even a bullion. That's a coin. That's a coin. Okay. I mean, I'm kind of off screen here, so it's hard to gesture, but that's how much of $100,000. That's how much in gold you should have. 1 golden coin, if you want to go down that road. Now you got to talk to a financial advisor, because maybe your situation is different. But if you're a normal person like these millionaires, gold should not be all of your, any asset class ever should be all of your retirement account, all of your investment. When you run a business, they say, never put all your eggs in the same basket. Well, when you run a business, they say, put all your eggs in the same basket and take really good care of your basket, right? But we're not talking about a company here. We're talking about people's personal portfolios. And this is Nobel Prize stuff. This is the new de facto standard. This is, you want a diversified portfolio.
Celebrity and high net worth investors, why isn't it good for you? I believe
don't have
that
that
both
much.
risk reducing and return enhancing to consider.
You already
gold
have
to
too
one's
much money. You
portfolio,
need to
said
put in
Ray
something
Dalio.
more different, because
Regal
you're getting older and you
Assets has
want
helped
better.
thousands of
better
investors
retirement.
diversify, protect,
That's
and grow their portfolios with alternative investments such as physical gold and cryptocurrencies.
Such as, sure,
See
crypto.
why our clients
Fucking
love
company.
us. Regal Assets is the only gold company endorsed by celebrity investors such as Laura Ingraham, Dennis Miller, and endorsed by clients such as Protect.
Okay.
Regal Assets has helped thousands of investors diversify, protect, and grow their portfolios with alternative investments.
Right. Okay, that's, from what I read, is true. What is not true, what you're hiding again, look at that. See, and then they're showing 1,000 gram, so 1 kilogram bars of gold, even though they're priced in troy ounces. Just pick a measurement. Call it grams, whatever. Or go with ounces all the way, you know. And try ounce. Anyway.
Such as physical gold and cryptocurrencies. See why our clients love us. Regal.
They don't. Your AAA went to an F. Your rating from the BBB went to an F. Your positive reviews tanked. I'm not even sure you're allowed to even be working, you know, in business in the U.S. at the moment.
Assets is the only gold company endorsed by celebrity investors such as Laura Ingraham, Dennis Miller, and Lars Larson. Want to learn more? Request your free gold investment kit today at www.regalassets.
So get your address, your number. They're going to call you. They're going to mail you. They're going to email you. They're going to harass you to put as much as you can into something that shouldn't be more than 2.5%, 5% if you're less than, you know, if you have hundreds of millions of dollars and you're ready to retire, sure, you can be looking at lower risk assets because you're retiring. You want to keep your you want a steady income. You want to reduce risk because you can't afford it. You don't have the time for it anymore. Yeah, but this is not. They're selling you one thing, but it's another. You're selling either the spread between giving you the physical gold or the storage fees. That's what they're selling you in reality.
.com or click the link below.
I even have to. See it right now. This is now okay. I've been basically crapping on gold and base, specifically gold, but as an asset throughout this video. However, it can be part of your portfolio. It has to be an amount that makes sense. Okay, that it absolutely has to be. It has to make sense. And there are merits to holding precious metals, right? They have a practical use. They're physical, tangible. People feel more comfortable. You can have gold decorative coins. Let me see if I can find the one that I personally know. A close friend of mine buys these collectible items. I'll just do buy gold US. So I'm not endorsing any company that shows up here. I'm just talking about it because they exist. Same way, I have no idea how credible they are, how they're going to be in the future. These are just ones that I have personally seen, so I won't vouch for them in any manner or way. I'm just telling you that they exist, and I've seen people do it. That's all I'm saying. Now, check this out. We've got gold bars and rounds. Gold coins, okay, they've got bars, movie licensing products. Now, let's take a look at these, okay? These are not traditional investments, all right? These are very different. They're like stamp collecting. They have their merits. There's nothing wrong with stamp collecting. There's nothing wrong with investing in gold. But you got to understand what it is that it's going to be used for, right? So you see these. This one has it's pretty maple leaf from Canada. You've got a pretty swan here from, what is this? Australia. Now these, you're going to see something interesting. And let's go with the swan. I thought the swan was pretty. Let's take a look at the swan. Okay, so the swan is $2,000 as low as $100 over spot. Now this is the thing. Now let's take a look at that. John Wick, Lord of the Rings. If you're collecting these for fun, look, this is really cool. Okay, I love John Wick, so you know, if anyone wants to give me one of these, I'll take it. But this is what it is. It's a collectible item, right? So when you're buying these, you got to understand that you're Lord of the Rings, you've got Batman. Oh, great way to get the kids in. You got the Godfather, right? These, look at 3,840. Wait. Now you're asking yourself, why is this so much higher than this one? This one's only 2,000. Yes, that's the point. These are more expensive. Let's see, this is containing 1 ounce of 0.999 fine gold. How much is this? 1 ounce of 0.999 fine gold. So how come this is more expensive than this? And if the ounce, how much do, if I want to just buy gold, let's see if they have just gold, just nothing fancy. I just want the object, right? Not unique. I just want like a price, low to high, right? And I want 1 ounce. What's the cheapest I can get? I want to look at 1 ounce. So that, oh, okay, that's why they only have coins. So, oh no, they've got bars. Okay, so this here is $2,074 for 1 ounce. This bar here is about $10 cheaper. Why? Because this is a collectible item. So you would have to wait for I would auto invest big right there. I wish they would show you what they're paying for, because when you sell this, you're selling it at a discount, and when you're buying at a premium. That's called a spread. Okay, so if go here, price low to high, secondary market as low as 2,049.59. This pretty, containing 1 ounce of 0.999 fine gold from the Lord of the Rings, costs 3,845. When in reality, if you're doing just for the gold, it'd be around 2,049. So you're paying $1,800 more, okay? For a collectible, that's perfectly fine. You want to display this, you're a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings, that's perfectly fine. You're a big fan of Batman, okay? You're a big fan of the Godfather, right? And that's the thing, you are paying for the design. You're paying because it's a collectible item. You're not paying, well, there's even the Dogecoin, right? You are not paying this for the gold. You're buying a collectible item. That's the first thing. And that's perfectly fine. Oh, Jesus. And that's perfectly fine. If you want to buy a collectible John Wick coin and give it to me, that's your choice. Now, if you ask someone, does this make sense financially? How long is it going to take for gold to go up, for you to break even? Because when these people sell to us, when these people buy back this gold, right? When you try to liquidate this asset, you also got to pay for shipping, of course, and insurance, because you get paid how much? You're not telling me how much. Let's go. Google, sell gold. I'm going to keep the John Wick open, just in case anyone wants to spend, it's 5% off the premium. So gold, $1,961. So how long is it going to take at this pace where, let's get it, it's 25 years, okay, 25 years, 300 to 2,000, right? How long is it going to take? Okay, gold, this is what the current price is. They're going to pay, when you sell this to 2,079, you're going to get 1,961. So you're losing $1,000. So how long is it going to take for gold to go up over $1,000 because there's still going to be a spread and fees plus whatever taxes for this coin to be worth, you know, the, what is this, $100, right? So let's say 150, 160. How long is that going to take? That is an asset you're going to be stuck with. So if you think of this as an asset, as an investment, you're looking at long term. Why? Because it's going to take a long time for you to recoup all those fees and spreads. Oh, we have the tightest spreads, and it's like, okay, what is it? Oh, you know, something stupidly ridiculous. It's we're going to give you $60 less. So for you to be able to liquidate this, you're looking at a long time horizon. However, the only times where it's ever been any use of outperforming has been this, right? So let's make the case for gold. Let's make the case for gold. Collectibles, okay? Close to ending the video. Let's do this, okay? What are the use cases for gold? Well, gold can be part of your portfolio. It's something that is used. It's something that is in demand. The way you go about it might be a little bit different. You might be interested in ETFs. They're incredibly easier to liquidate, you know, a share of an ETF than it is to liquidate a specific amount of gold. You can look at mining facilities that focus on gold. You can look at companies that have, you know, the inverse relationship with gold. There are many ways that you can add that to your portfolio, or you can have it as a decorative item and not be part of your investment at all, and just be something that, you know, worst case, I know I'm going to take a loss, but I can sell this for money. I mean, people do it with houses, they do it with cars, motorcycles, boats, each one at varying degrees of ease of sell, how easy it is to liquidate, but that's what you got to understand, okay? When you're talking about gold, it's going to take a long time for you to liquidate, and it's not going to appreciate. There's no reason right now why it would appreciate significantly to offset that. So if you want to buy gold during, you know, a recession, take a look at ETFs or any of gold-backed ETFs doing well, and you can buy in, sell when everything goes back to normal in like 3 years or whatever, when things get back to normal, you know? If you're going to buy physical, then, like, maybe if you're a prepper, right? You're preparing for an imminent financial crisis, right? It's going to completely obliterate the entire financial system and all that, and you want to have gold, that is a use case for it, right? I'm not saying that they're necessarily good or bad. I'm just saying that these are use cases for it, and gold does have its place. It is in precious metals. It's how you do it that matters, because that will give you the results that you want. And that's the thing, though. I remember there was a company that would literally sell. It was a pyramid company. You know, it was proven by law and all of that. I'm not going to name names, but they would sell golden pyramids. I mean, a pyramid scheme that sells you gold in the shape of pyramids at an incredible premium. That is just, I mean, that is just a whole nother level. But, you know, thank you so much for joining in today. I'll hopefully this won't be too long. You know, do subscribe, do like, you know, hit that bell notification icon, because things like this happen, and as soon as I can, I try to get up to date and get in front of it, say, yo, this is what's happening right now, give them what we have. And if you have any ideas of any future videos, do leave them in the comments down below. If you have any feedback, you have any suggestions, you know, I'm always open to hearing that. I want to make better videos, I want to make better content, and I would like to help keep people informed. And one company, once again, not endorsing, I do not know them personally, I'm not paid by them, but Augusta Precious Metals has been referred to me. And if you look at their videos on education, there is a really, really, really great video. I recommend you watch the video. I can't find it. Okay. These are 15 bad reasons. Okay. This is Devlin Steele, right, Director of Education at Augusta Precious Metals. And he gives you really good reasons why not to invest. And when you have a company that sells gold and it tells you these are bad reasons to buy gold, I mean, at a first glance, it looks very positive. If you're telling your investor, these are the risks associated to it, these aren't reasons to buy in. We have good reasons. Gold has a place. These aren't it. I'm going to be much more inclined to trust this company. Okay? So, do check out this video. I'm going to leave the link up here. That is such a horrible link. I'll try to link it in the description down below. And see, from what's supposed to be a good, precious metals, premier gold IRA company, as they list themselves as. Look at what they have to say. Look at what someone who's in the field specifically has to say. My field is equities, not that oil and stuff. Anyways, point being, watch the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that good algorithm stuff, and our comments are open for a reason. We want your feedback. We want your likes, and when we can't get your likes, or even when we can, if there was but you could have done, tell us. Bam, that's what we want to hear. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. This is now officially the end of the video. Hope it doesn't come out too long, and thank you so much for joining in. See you next time.